The Van Gogh Immersive Experience was quite, you know what? I got more than I bargained for. Like, I was not expecting that. I'm the kind of person, I started out as a painter in high school, always drawn throughout my life, but really started painting in high school. And, in college, I would go to these trips to France. I actually went to the apartment that Van Gogh died in France, I believe. So yeah, I would go on these trips to Normandy and all these places. I did summer school in the American University of Paris for a summer, and I would go on these trips to all these places in close to Paris to see all these artists, and we went to a few of Van Gogh's spots that were super interesting. I believe one of them was the place of his death. I don't remember, it was so long ago, like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. Wow, it was like 2008. But we did go to some significant Van Gogh places, and I always have had an appreciation for him, even growing up as a kid, learning about him as a kid. So for me, I thought I was going to experience, going to a museum or art gallery, but this immersive experience really took things to new heights and new levels. But before I get into that, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. It really pushes this video out in the algorithm and encourages me to make more videos. This video is brought to you by Brand Video Pros Members Lab, an online course that helps brands and influencers scale their influence in sales. Now let's begin. I just want to say it's so interesting to me how, as consumers, we get to experience art now. It's so different than what it was. Before you would look at paintings, and paintings on their own are masterpieces, right? They're unique. They're phenomenal. I mean, I'm a painter, so naturally I love looking at paintings. Especially when you see them in person, you look at the textures, you look at the style, you look at the visual vocabulary, you look at all these little different elements that bring these pieces together. And to me, looking at a painting is as moving and energizing as watching a television show. When you look at a great painting, it really moves you in such interesting ways and compels you in so many different ways. And so I love going to these art galleries and stuff. But for me, what made this immersive experience so much more unique was the fact that not only was there VR, which was a great show, and you got to go there and you got to see it yourself, and there would be rooms. It was the sound design that's really what made you feel the flavor and the feeling of Van Gogh as a painter. So the sound design throughout the whole experience, there were these amazingly well placed speakers, so you got the immersive experience of that. So the sound design, the music, as you're walking through, then also the projection of his art. So some places you would see some of these paintings that, for you to see all these paintings in one place, it's not possible, because most of these paintings are all over the world in different museums around the world. So it's impossible to see them in one place. But here they would have printouts, but the way that they would light the printouts, you were able to see the textures of the paintbrush. You were able to see the glossiness of the oil on canvas. You were able to see the different elements of the painting, which made it almost brought it to life. Obviously, there's something else about seeing the real thing in front of you. You can't really replicate having the real thing, but this was close enough. And getting to put them together, these famous paintings next to one another, you've just never seen that in real life. So that was another element, but also another interesting part of it, apart from the VR, were the new experiences they created out of Van Gogh. The storytelling of the whole place, because we learned about his whole life. You walk through the museum, the experience, and there are these large piece of text that just explain his story as a painter, his life story, all of that. Then also the use of video, and the way that they would project his paintings, but then use some, graphic or visual effects to create movements in his painting. So it's like the reimagining of Van Gogh is what you're getting. and they would project it on these like interesting, like once it was projected on an interesting vase, another one was projected on sort of like this sculpture of him. And that one was very interesting because that was almost like looking at a hologram of him, especially the way it pictured on camera. You really got the experience of what he looked like, and you saw it through interesting colors that he would have used, and just it just showcased the flavor of Van Gogh. And so that experience, I think, was definitely worth it. And it really romanticizes who he was and who he is and his work. And that romanticization, it would, like, when you go into any immersive experience, it really is what it says. It's immersive. So you come out with these like blues, like this sort of, it's not like blues, like you wish you could continue to experience it, because it was so immersive and so compelling, and took all of your sensory emotions or sensory feelings, from your sight to your hearing to your feeling. It took it all, and now you're leaving, and you sort of romanticize, or you feel sad that you've gone. Another interesting thing is that in this experience, we could also sit down and we could draw, or we could paint, or let me not call it painting. We could color in some of his paintings, which was so interesting. People made some really dope, really cool looking colors or paintings or reimaginings of his work. And the experience was incredible. So I think, is this a new way to experience historic individuals? Because I don't think it's limited to Van Gogh, but I really see this working for historic figures like Henry VIII, or, you know, anyone sort of like that has been romanticized in history. Creating these experiences, I would love to go and to one of these things and see the Tudor era. You know, it's the company that is doing this, they're called Fever, and I made a video about this, but I booked their immersive experience of the show Bridgerton, and I broke that down and how interesting it's going to be. I can't wait to go. It's in April or March, April, but the fact that you can reimagine a historic figure, or even reimagine a show like Bridgerton and bring it to life in an immersive way that allows us to experience it viscerally, it's incredible. And it shows that marketing has really changed. It's a way to keep these names alive, keep these things alive, and keep people experiencing them in new ways. So am I a fan of immersive experiences? Absolutely. Especially the way that they use sound, the way that they use VR, the way that they use, specifically in this Van Gogh experience, what really compelled me to it, or what made me so interested about it, was their use of sound, their use of VR, because we got to, you know, a 10-minute VR video where we walked through his village from his house, or his home, his flat, his apartment, and we walked out of his apartment and we go all the way to the village, and we see the sites that he would paint at. It was a reimagining of where he lived and how he lived. So that VR experience, us being able to color in some of his paintings, and just also seeing his paintings on the wall, the sound, learning about his Japanese era, where he would he'd buy all these Japanese paintings and remake or you know, use it as a piece of influence. Such an interesting way to consume an artist. And I'm so excited about the future of immersive experiences and what that's going to look like, especially in a metaverse world. And it shows that the evolution of art, you know, and I'm excited about it. It's the evolution of art, the evolution of displaying art. I remember when early days of social media, and because like I said, I was a painter, and I would take these art classes in high school and in college, and the conversation was around how interesting it is to experience art in the social media era, because before you would have to go into the museum to look at the art, right? But now you could just flip out your phone and people can see, or people can see your new works as you post them. And that was a new experience in that time, 2006, 2007. But now today it's changed. It's changing. It's evolved into something else. And I'm just so excited to see the evolution of art. I mean, we have NFTs. We have so many different ways to experience art in this changing media landscape. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Van Gogh Immersive Experience. If it's coming to your city, I 100% recommend it. I mean, it's $44. I paid $44 and I felt like it was worth like $150, $100. It was worth it. But I don't think too many people will pay for it if it's that expensive. And you want something like that to be available to everybody, to be available to students. But it was great, well priced. The experience was well above what my expectation. And I'm super excited to see what this means for the future of art. Anyway, that's my opinion. Let me know yours. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Peace.